Hey guys, before we get into today's episode, I wanted to take a minute to talk to you all about our Discord server. So, unlike a lot of podcasts that have a community associated with it, this is a community with a podcast associated with it. Model Train People right now currently sits at right at 251 individuals between the United States, Europe, New Zealand, and Australia. And we do weekly meetups on Tuesdays and Sundays, and we just started getting into Railroader. So Railroader is a online train simulator set in transition era Appalachia, and you basically get to ride on your own railroad with friends or by yourself. We're doing this right now on Sundays, and there's a good little group that has come together to start running our own virtual railroad, and it looks like a lot of fun. So if you're in the market for an online train-based community, hit us up. Follow our link in the link tree or in any of the show notes or video descriptions that link directly to our Discord and other social media sites. And with that, here's today's episode. Yeah,
The podcast has begun.
It has begun. I could go for 70 degrees right now. Like, it was a nice little, like, I don't know, Paul or Dennis, at least down here in Jersey, like, we got like 1 or 2 days of spring and it was super nice.
Yep.
And
yeah,
I guess,
we
Matt,
had
yeah,
that here too.
You're far north, and
Yeah,
now
we're in
back
Mass.
to
Yeah, it's
blowing
it was
cold.
pretty cold this morning and yesterday.
See, Eddie, this is what us Northerners we like to call a false spring. It's where we
Yes,
get
the spring
a
of
hint
deception.
of spring, and it's just a tease for a couple of days, and then we go back to the cold for another 2 weeks
This is what I
until
get
it
for
finally breaks.
Yeah, this is what I get for living in South Texas for as long as I did. But hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of the Model Train People podcast. Excuse me. Tonight, relatively packed house, which is nice to see. But we have with us tonight is Paul Stamp. Paul is the assistant superintendent, or is associate superintendent?
Assistant superintendent.
Assistant superintendent of the Lakeshores division of the NMRA. I've been calling it the Finger Lakes division for probably about 3 weeks now. And I was texting him, he's like, dude, it's the Lakeshores. And I was like, oh, yeah, it is Lakeshores, isn't it?
Not that big a deal, there's just there's that Great Lake involved with our division too, not just the Finger Lakes. So I think they decided, let's go with just the broader Lake Shores.
Yeah, I don't want to cause a civil war between lake communities up in your neck of New York. But he's here, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about what he does in the hobby, and then more kind of in particular is, this is a continuation of a conversation that he and I had one-on-one probably about 3 weeks ago, about a month ago. Geez, time flies. But more talking about what divisions and regions can do in the NMRA to make it a worthwhile experience. And I know the Lakeshores is incredibly active, and it's really nice to see, as I think all of you guys' divisions are super active. But we're here to highlight that. So, Paul, welcome. How's it going?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. I've listened to every episode so far with immense enjoyment. So it's great to be on and excited to talk NMRA, excited to talk, home layout, excited to maybe even get into some modular model railroading too if we have time. But yeah,
that's right. Because
Well,
you're
we can
starting
definitely
to
talk
build in
modular
some
model
FICO stuff,
railroading
right?
in this group.
oh, I'm sorry. Somebody repeat.
No, I was gonna say you're. Sorry, sorry, Matt, go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say we can definitely talk modular model railroading in this group.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, and I know, Paul, you're starting to look in, or you've built at least one Fremo module so far, correct?
Well, I've got I've got well, it's weird the way they consider it. I guess technically what I have is one module, but it's 4 2 foot by 4 foot sections that make up one module that's a linear 16 feet.
Yeah, and that's
yeah,
because of how Fremo works, right? Yeah, basically, as long as you're with Fremo, the end plate is really what defines the module. In between the end plates, you can do kind of whatever you want. You can have as many pieces put in there, but once you get to the end of your modular section, the end plate has to line up with the end plate of the next module, and that's kind of the definition.
Interesting.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's really fun stuff. I'm plugging away working on them. We're supposed to have them done by July, which at that point we're going to set them up at the Genesee County Fair here in Batavia, and just kind of try to introduce a lot of new people into the hobby by displaying a couple of different scales at the show. We're gonna have it's basically going to be an effort of every single model railroading organization in Western New York, which is kind of crazy. We've got all three of the big clubs involved. We got both the Western New York and the Lakeshores division of the NMRA involved. It's going to be just a week-long, sort of effort to introduce model railroading to people who may have never experienced it before at the county fair. It'd be really exciting.
That's awesome.
That's phenomenal. And again, you're not going to find any. We probably will do a whole episode on modular systems here, but God, modular is such a way to introduce people into the hobby, and just again from the portability of it, from the social aspect of bringing people together, breaking bread, and putting your things together to run trains is phenomenal.
That's why I'm doing it. I'm lucky enough that I've got a basement and I've got a home layout, but I see the way younger modelers are getting involved in the hobby at this point in time, and it's because of limited space. It's either through a small switching layout or it's through modular setups. And one of the big goals I have is to just continually inspire others to model, and if I can do that through building a modular model railroad of my own, I'm going to do it for sure. But I do have to say, I acknowledge that I am in slightly hostile territory tonight with three N scalers here, with me being the lone HO scale guy. But I will say, as far as T-Track is concerned, that is the lowest barrier to entry into this hobby, and I think it's such an awesome standard because of that. The fact that you don't need a single power tool in order to put those modules together is simply spectacular. And it's got to be such an integral part of any organization that's looking to get people into modeling moving forward. And I think it's already is, and I feel like it's going to continue to grow too.
Yeah, I have to 100% agree with you on T-Track as being a great way for people to get into the hobby, because it uses Kato roadbed track, and so you don't need to worry about trying to ballast anything or deal with cork. And I think we need to focus on making things, people I think get hung up on the idea of having the basement empire or even the 8x4 sheet, and it's you don't need that kind of space. You can just find a group to model with and run trains with to get involved in this hobby and just go to shows.
I'd argue that T-Track, and especially the way Eddie's doing it, is far better than any 4x8 layout I've ever seen too. You get there's so many more opportunities with that sort of format than you'll ever get on a 4x8 for sure. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, talking about basement empire and stuff. Look, as I try to take over my basement, one T-Track module at a time, it's also that commitment piece where, yeah, I'm not ready to drill into my basement walls and stuff, or set anything up, but yeah, it's also because I'm moving in the next 2 to 3 years guaranteed, and we'll eventually come back here, but yeah, we'll go from there. But anyway, to avoid this completely being derailed and into the modular discussion, Paul, first and foremost, man, I'm loving the Apollo Saturn V rocket poster behind you there. And is that an SW7 that's sitting that's switching that, or what's the what we got set up
should
there?
be it's a pair. It's a
Looks like
yeah.
Jeeps.
It's actually a
Jeeps.
Yeah, trio of GP38s. Yeah, so I've got a buddy who's a bit of a artist, and the idea behind the poster was my own, but I don't have the artistic talent. But with the name of the Lehigh Valley's 2FC train trailer on flat car train being the Apollo, I couldn't believe that there was never any marketing that kind of combined, the Apollo rockets and Lehigh Valley. So I decided to commission my buddy to kind of create this artwork that it says we move freight at rocket speed, and there's an Apollo
That's cool.
rocket blasting off in the background. Really awesome stuff. The guy's name who made it, this print is actually available for sale. It's the guy who made it. His store is called Jake's Retro Rails. If you want to go check it out, he's got a ton of other artwork too. Gorgeous stuff. So definitely be sure to check it out.
Yeah, looks great.
That's very cool.
Down.
Yeah.
Well, cool,
As
man.
someone who's like
So-
really into space program stuff, that's
It's
Check
a good
it out.
combo.
Yeah, he's got, what, Eddie, he's got a ton of different fighter jets and stuff too that he's done artwork of as well. There's some incredible stuff in there.
Yeah,
You'll
that
have
looks
to
a
check
lot
it out for sure.
on the military side. I know that it looks very much in the similar vein of what's known as squadron posters. And
Okay,
they do
yeah.
like each individual squadron will contact this group and get their artwork made up, and I have one that's sitting up above my desk right now from my last assignment, and it's the airfield diagram for Laughlin Air Force Base, and it's cool looking. But
Awesome.
but yeah, anyway, Paul, tell us, man. So I know if you guys, for those of you listening, Paul was actually, you were just on with Ray Arnott over and around the layout probably about 2 weeks ago. And I know that's a significant kind of deep dive into your backstory. But if you wouldn't mind giving us the wave tops, and also that's the plug too, go check that out. And Ray's got a great podcast
Yes,
over
sir.
there. But tell us, man, what I know
Who are
it's,
you?
it's kind of
Why
in
are
your
you
blood,
here?
man.
Why am I here?
Exactly.
That's a great question, Dennis. Well, first and foremost, I'm here because I think that the model train people community and this podcast are very special and have an important place in our hobby. So that's why I'm here. But as far as why I'm in model railroading, I always joke that I was clandestine before I was even born to be in, at least like trains, if not be a model railroader. My parents actually got married on a train. They got married on the Arcade in Attica, which is a little short line here in Western New York that's got a nice little Elco 280 steam engine. And so they got married there. And then, as soon as I came into the world, I was inundated with trains in many different facets. I grew up with the Blue Track Tomy Thomas the Tank Engine motorized stuff. And so, I was building carpet empires with that stuff long before I was a true model railroader. But from a very early age, I was already on my way to becoming one. I got my first HO set around the age of, I think it was 10. And immediately that Christmas, it was out on the ground before I could even build the layout. And then actually started building my first layout not until I got into college. So I worked my way through college. So I had a little bit more disposable income than your normal college student. And a lot of that disposable income ended up going towards model trains. So built an initial 4x8 layout in my parents' attic while I was doing my first 2 years at a community college. And then when I graduated from there and went to a 4-year school, I actually built 3 2x4 modules and brought those down to the college apartment I was living in and set those up in my bedroom so that I had a little bit of a place to switch there. And, honed my skills really in those 2 years a lot more than any other time period. Learned a lot about LED installs and DCC installs and weathering and all this other stuff that's become second nature to me now. I think I could probably install a decoder with my eyes closed if I needed to. But but learned a lot there. Met a lot of great people who kept me involved with the hobby. I always take the opportunity to shout out a good friend of mine, Tim Anderson, who had a home layout. Had the chance to run at a lot while I was at college, and he was such a nice guy. Just let us come in, drop down all of our own equipment on his home layout, and just run laps. And or there was at times we actually cleared every single one of his locomotives and rolling stock off the layout, and ran our own modern Norfolk Southern ops. Me and my buddies. But that was really great. And then, after that, took a couple of years after college to be able to buy a house. But once I finally did, my wife and I moved in and started building in the basement. She's always been very, very supportive of me in the hobby, and allowed me to basically take over as much space as I wanted in the basement. And so I do. I have a bit of a basement empire. I consider my layout to be kind of a medium large build. It's not super massive. It can
Not
run.
so much a basement empire as a basement, I don't know, a basement city state, we'll say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's
Yep,
at
yep.
least Belgium or the Netherlands, right? Still not. But no, you have a really nice setup. Like I was watching your 2024 layout review yesterday, kind of getting a look for it. It's nice, man. I mean, I know you're also doing a lot of your work. I know you're reworking your yard as well. By the way,
Yeah.
Paul Stamp's Finger Lakes Railroad, is that, I think that's if you look
Railway.
on YouTube,
Yeah. They
Railway.
use the European term or the more European consideration, I suppose, when they named this railroad for some reason. But yeah, Paul Stamp's Finger Lakes Railway on YouTube is what I am. Yep.
But I gotta ask you, all right, so would you rather have more of a scenic, if you could add more to it, a scenic spot, or would you add more to your track in your yard?
It would definitely be scenery.
Okay.
That's and it's funny because I really consider the scenery changes that I would make to be operational enhancements too. There's a few runs on my layout where there's not enough negative space between towns that
Yeah.
just being able to add scenery to it would make things feel operationally like you're really going somewhere. So that's it would be scenery, but it would be dual purpose, right? It would be to enhance the look of the layout and to enhance the immersion factor, I guess,
Hmm.
if you will, for operators on the layout. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I guess kind of going back, you said the person that mentor or whatever who kind of like brought you in and showed you on their layout, like God, like with anything. I know that was one thing that I kind of cued in on the interview that you did with Ray, but man, it's so important, like, to have a mentor in, be it like leadership, money, um, if you're in a hobby like music, like somebody to basically show you the ropes. And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
like
Totally.
that has to be probably. I guess would you say like would you be as in depth into the hobby what if it weren't for that person? I know you were kind of already with the switching layout from college and stuff, but do you think it would have been kind of like a lower glide path, if you will?
You know what? I mean, as far as like mentorship is concerned, Tim was awesome to be able to open up his home to us and everything. And I certainly wouldn't be as well. There's a chance I might not be as deep into the hobby as I am without him.
Mm-hmm.
But I've as far as like mentors who really genuinely teach stuff in the hobby, there's a lot of other guys that I've been fortunate enough to learn from as well, especially at the club I'm in now, the Genesee Society of Model Engineers. There's a bunch of guys in that club that have a wealth of knowledge that I've learned from. There's plenty of guys in the NMRA division here that I've picked up information from. So yeah, I think finding the right mentor for you is something that can really help to continue your growth in the hobby. There's a lot of uh, people out there who are gung ho to be your mentor and tell you, everything that they know, but finding the person who's right for you, it can be super important as well. Trying to find the person who you learn from, who is not going to, overshare information that you're not looking for,
Right.
is super super important for sure.
Cool. So let me ask you this: was Tim the person who got you involved with the NMRA?
No, Tim's actually somewhat anti NMRA, funny enough.
Interesting. Okay.
The the area he's in kind of went through a period of, uh what's the right term?
Feast and famine.
Distaste with the NMRA in
Mhm.
the like the 80s, 90s. There was a lot of issues because of the way they had divisions set up back then that have kind of been reworked now. So the Division 12, which is the area he's in now, is really really great. There's some awesome guys down there, but because of the way things were back then, it kind of did sour a
Mm.
few guys
Burn some
from that
bridges.
area,
Yeah.
from the Jamestown, New York area is specifically where I'm talking. But yeah, so no, he was not a member of the NMRA. They had their own kind of little operating group down there. That there was about 8 of them that just kind of got together themselves and hosted layout tour events for the local area and stuff. Kind of without the NMRA involved at all, which it's good for them that they were able to do that for
Yeah.
sure.
So if not them or him, like what got you involved in the NMRA? Like what point did you make the decision, or was that something like I know that you're obviously your parents heavily involved in at least liking railroading and stuff with the wedding and
Yeah.
and the like, but like what was the thing that drew you to the NMRA?
So I've actually only been an NMRA member for about a year and a half now. So I was
Dope.
only
Okay.
I think I hit a year of membership like 2 weeks before I was running for assistant superintendent of the Lakeshores division. So things happen quickly, but part of the reason that I got involved with the NMRA was first of all because we were hosting the Northeast Regional Convention last year. I wanted to be involved with that side of things, but also because I found myself in a situation where I was looking for more people to be able to come and run my layout. I was building this
Mm.
layout that was going to require probably, well, I can operate it with as little as 6 people, but at the time I was thinking, oh, I want to have like 12-person sessions every time, run with 2-man crews every time. And I was a part of the Genesee Society of Model Engineers, but there was not a membership pool big enough there to even expect to be able to pull 12 guys for an op session. So I really kind of got involved with the NMRA, looking for more connections personally to have more operators for my layout, and ended up finding so much more just for joining for that purpose.
Yeah, and when we talked, you guys at least with you at the leadership and in the leadership team have been incredibly active. Had it always been a really active region, or is this like what, I guess, what have you done since, like, hey, been in this year, you just got elected into this position, like what things are you trying to do to bring that bring the division forward, if you will?
Yeah. So I can't take credit for much yet. I do have to give credit where credit is due to our past leadership team. Dave Durr, he's the now former superintendent of the division, and Ed O'Connell are both just powerhouses as far as getting the division to where it is today. When I joined, the division was already growing. The average age was already dropping. So I am really just here to put fuel on the already very strongly burning fire, and I think I've done that. But everything was already there and laid out for me, which I'm very grateful for. And Ed O'Connell is now the superintendent of the division. He's he's a powerhouse as far as operations is concerned, and really loves getting down into the nitty gritty and helping people get their layouts up and operating, which is really, really great. But as far as, things that I've done for the division, my baby so far has been instituting our round robin operating calendar, which is a once a month operating session that rotates layouts throughout various NMRA members' layouts throughout the year. And it's open to every single member of the Lakeshores division. One of the toughest things I think when you're trying to get into operations, trying to get into the model railroading community as a whole is finding the connections that you need in order to get into operating sessions, in order to connect with the right people to understand what you need to do. So this round robin is really a way to make that a more equitable endeavor for everybody. You all you need to do is be a Lakeshores division member to be a part of this round robin, and the email goes out once every month. It's first come, first serve thing. So as many operating slots as there is, we fill based off of the email list. And whoever the first like 4 to 12 people, depending on the layout, are to respond are the ones that are operating that month. And there's the only struggle with this all is, you got to be quick with the reply email, basically. And that's, everything else is about as equitable as it possibly can for getting people into ops, which I absolutely love.
But you know what? I mean, that's the way that if I've heard different things on different podcasts in different conversations of like, it always comes to that conversation of like, all right, cool. I want to have an operating session. How do I do it as to one, have a crew that's going to come down and be successful and have a good time, and then two, do it without alienating people. And shoot, that's one of the ways. That's probably the best way to do it. Of like, hey, everybody knows this is it. I really like that you guys round robin that. So like, if somebody misses it, like, 1 week, one session, they can totally do it the next one, and it's first come first serve. So it's literally who gets in line first versus, you know what. I know Ricky. We're gonna grab Ricky. He and I like he's always gonna be here, and let's not forget person X or whatever. Like I don't want like that's not obviously not a way to handle stuff, but that definitely completely eliminates any of the politicking, if you will, that
Exactly.
Yep, could potentially exist in trying to bring people together for a op session.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is my ultimate goal with the event is really just to get everybody in the Lakeshores, excuse me, kind of familiar with one another, so that when they're running non round robin op sessions, they can still go off of their own invite list, but hopefully after they've hosted a round robin session, that invite list has grown by 5 or 6 people because they've met new people, they've enjoyed their company, and they're willing to have them back on a regular basis too. So
I think the other really good side of this is that it gets more people potentially interested in operating, and gets more people more comfortable with operating. Because I know
absolutely.
I've chatted with a few people on our server about, doing operations and stuff, and I find that sometimes people can be really nervous to operate. They're really worried that, I'm going to screw up, and then the layout operator is going to hate me, and then I'm never going to do it again.
I still get nervous. I'm literally, facilitating this whole, round robin, and every time I'm at a new layout, I'm still like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't screw anything up. The idea of car cards to me is still somewhat foreign. Every time I'm at a car card operating session, I'm like, I better, I lose things all the time.
Mhm.
So I'm just constantly nervous that I'm going to misplace a car card somewhere where it doesn't belong. I'm going to,
ADHD
ruin
fam,
everything
rise up.
based on one car card. But
Yeah, the one that worries me is whenever I wind up getting to a timetable and train order layout, because I have zero concept of how that works. But the nice thing about having experience with operating is, okay, well, at least I can run the train. I can figure out the rest, and I think that's what doing a round robin like you're doing there is really helpful for the people who aren't layout owners, because it gets them into operating. it lowers that barrier of entry.
Well, I think
Yeah,
all,
yeah,
And
and
it makes people more
I
comfortable.
think also another thing it does is it lets people see different layouts, and it allows you to see how different people do things. So maybe you don't like the
exactly.
way one person runs their layout, but you like the way another person runs theirs. It's very much, I mean, the way people operate their layouts is as different as like the layouts themselves.
Hmm.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
And then that's where you are able to take, as you build up that experience and stuff, take that home and apply it to what you're doing if you have that available to you. And it's like Dennis, like the first time that like when we met and I was messing with yours, that was literally the first time outside of running stuff on that I had ever touched somebody else's layout. And like you give me the sheet of paper, I'm like, all right, cool. So this goes here. Like trying to figure that out. And it's intimidating. It is super intimidating.
It is.
Like I know you
Yep.
don't like you're cool about it and stuff. And it's just like, oh man, like there is absolutely that pressure of I don't want to mess up. How do I do this? I don't want to break this person's trains. In the
Well,
process of
the nice
that.
thing is, especially with the round robin that I've set up, I've come to know each of the layout owners that we operate at very, very well, and I can genuinely say that there's not a single one of them that are bad hosts by any means. So when you've got a nervous operator, their first reaction is going to be to take you under their wing and make sure that you understand, and make sure that you understand if you mess up that it's not a big deal too. There's
Yeah.
cars get missed during an op session and it's not a big deal, but as a new operator you might think it is, but most of these hosts will just make sure that it's no sweat at all, for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because ultimately it's just a big tabletop game. Like
Yep.
Yeah.
it
I was
Yep.
actually having a conversation the other day with a person about that, about how, essentially model railroading is it's just, yeah, it's a tabletop, it's a tabletop
Yeah.
cooperative game that you're playing with other people.
Yep.
And when you
Yep,
think about it
absolutely.
like that, I think it
Yeah.
makes a lot more sense what you're doing to, like, especially people who may not be familiar with model railroading and operating, like the people who just think of trains as like Lionel trains going around in a circle.
not poo-pooing
Yeah.
on that by any means.
No,
No,
not
yeah,
at all. But I
that's-
mean, but that's not all model railroading is. And
Yeah.
But,
if you
yeah.
want it to be more, it can be more.
We're
and
talking
more,
Whatever
or more
floats your
importantly,
goat.
trying to get past that conception in the popular imagination
oh yeah.
of what model railroading is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and literally when I went to this, when I got back into this, like I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna do this, and it was the circle of track and watching it, which is always great it's always fun to do, but it's just like, and then you realize, oh, this is, point to point, like I can't run my trains, like, and then it's like, well, no, that's the fun one, and it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
all right, dope, but you need to have that exposure and that cross thing, and Paul, I think that's great that you guys are, doing that to get the exposure. And just real quick, as we're talking about tabletop gaming, yeah, you know what, the analogy of whoever, the home layout, whoever owns that layout, that's your game master or dungeon master. And then look, like you can do stuff with dice. Like as I'm
Yeah.
also looking around trying to figure out what I do with my D20s because they have disappeared on me. But that's
Yeah.
neither here nor
Mine's
there.
sitting on my layout.
Yeah, exactly. It can be as simple as figuring out a couple dice rolls, or as complicated as train orders and timetables, and that scares the
As
bejesus.
complicated as creating your own spreadsheet that kind of automates everything for the car flow and everything, like me, maybe.
Yeah, that's
In defense of timetables and car orders, I don't think they're as as difficult as people would think it sounds.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
I actually
I've
think
not had the
it-
opportunity
like,
myself to
so we were
operate on
ha-
one, so
so we were I operate on Bruce Robinson's layout a lot, and he was actually talking about how how before he set up a timetable was kind of a free for all and everything, and
Yeah.
adding a timetable and putting in train orders actually made it easier for the operators,
Mm.
because then they knew where, because they and the dispatcher could understand where they were supposed to be and where everyone was at any given time, and it deconflicted things and made things a lot
Hmm.
more straightforward.
Certainly
Nice.
makes sense.
Yeah.
See, until I'm able to interface with it, I'm just gonna do the normal human thing and be scared of it because it's foreign to me and not do any research
That's-
at all, or like get
That's what it
stuck
comes
on a
down to.
conspiracy page about how timetables are the shadow government. But that's neither here nor there.
Yes, timetables come from the lizard people.
I mean, you are a lizard person,
Well-
so I mean, there we go, confirmed. There
Confirmed.
it is.
Eddie, anytime you're willing to make the drive up here to the Rochester area, I'm happy to have you at a session.
Oh, dude, I
but
would love to.
We'll
By
have
the
to make
way,
that
I
happen
just
at some point.
yeah. Do you guys have a German Shepherd? Did I see a German? Like I saw a dog walking back there.
I've got a mini Australian Shepherd, Blue Heeler mix, who looks like a smaller German Shepherd, and then I've got a Black Lab.
That's probably what I saw.
Border
I
Collie
saw the
mix.
tail,
Yeah.
and I was like, "All right, someone's got a big dog. All right,
Yep.
what do you got?" Because I've got a German Shepherd downstairs, and it's like, "Oh, dope. Okay,
Yeah.
cool."
I've got
dogs.
My dogs make appearances in my videos all the time, and my wife, who loves them very, very much, usually just watches my videos just to see if they make an appearance. She could care less about the train part of it.
Yeah.
She's supportive, but she could care less about the train part of it. She's just trying to see if Belle and Bronco make an appearance in the video.
She likes the dog cameos.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it is understated the value of a supportive spouse in any type of hobby or anything like that. Because it's like
Absolutely.
So like Mary, last night, like I had posted some videos and she's just scrolling on TikTok, and because most of my TikTok interactions with the app are off of the Model Train People account, so when she sends me stuff, she's sending it to the Model Train People account, and she follow from however the algorithm works or whatever. Like all of a sudden, she's like, "Oh, why is my basement on my feed?" And then it was like the video. It was the videos like, "There's the dog." She's like, "Great." So we get like people can hear me yelling at the cat and like doing the. I don't know if you guys do it, but like we do fake voices for our Shih Tzu and our German Shepherd, and they have like their own little
Yeah.
personalities.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Belle and Bronco both have their own voices for sure. Yep.
that's awesome. I'm glad we're not the only crazy ones who do that.
But
But
I've
yeah,
heard other people do
so
it. I don't do it for my cat, but I do know what you're referring to.
yeah, no,
You gotta
no, my
try it,
cat,
Matt. It's
we do it
fun.
for the cat too. Our cat, Ziggy, I got her when I was stationed in Germany, and she just turned 12 or 13. She's getting up there. But the joke is that like I stole her from like some Eastern Bloc, like still Soviet sympathizers, like as a KGB deep spy.
Oh
And
God.
whenever we talk in her voice, it's usually with like a very bad German or Polish accent, just to add to the narrative. And she's constantly because she'll constantly mess with the dogs, and the dogs are, even in her old age, scared to death of her and will not mess with her.
They know who's boss.
Oh yeah, they
Yep.
do. But anyway, yeah, man.
Back to the trains.
Back to the train. With everything that you guys have going on, like in a couple episodes ago, and this is kind of for the audience at large. No, we are not anti NMRA. I just re-upped for my second year as a member of the NMRA, still tied to the New Jersey division, although I'm going to try to get involved a little bit more with both them as well as the Philadelphia division. Dennis are you Hudson Valley or Hudson Berkshire? I forget.
Hudson Valley.
Hudson
I
Valley.
was with Hudson Berkshire when I was up at school because they were much closer, but great guys in both. So
Yeah. And then Matt, I'm just trying to, you're in the hub, right?
Yep, hub division, correct.
Yeah. So like we are like a lot of members of our of Model Train People are in the NMRA. Hell, I mean, we have Gordy, the president of the NMRA, is a member of Model Train People. But the challenge comes in having, which again, it's reading people's comments and stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, blah 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 blah. People are very quick to fight, rah fight the power kind of in the institution that I guess is represented with the NMRA. But it's all your mileage may vary situation. Like I've had the greatest of interactions with the New Jersey division, and talking to people around me, it sounds like it's very outside of the couple clubs that make up the preponderance of the New Jersey division's membership. One being the Burlington County Model Railroading Club, and I forget what the other one is. But like in talking in like at least people in the adjacent division of like, hey, yeah, you know, this is what we do, and it's kind of nice seeing that like what you're doing, and if you're bringing new people in, that's what you want to see is, hey, what is the NMRA, right? And if like you guys who are in these super active divisions within the Northeast region, you know, I went over to somebody's, you know, place, you know, 2 weeks ago, and they ran off. They were super friendly to me. You know, as soon as I joined up, I got an email that came out and said, "Hey, you know, this is who I am. Come over here. These are the things that we have going on. We'd love to see you." And that's going to make somebody want to stay in and be engaged because they feel valued. They see and they see intrinsic value in what they're doing, and then there's that social aspect that frankly is the reason that I kind of re-upped because of all you guys.
Hmm.
But I don't know, Paul, what's your thoughts on it since you are in a leadership position within the
Yeah, yeah.
organization?
I think you know, making somebody feel welcome when they join is the bare minimum that we should be doing in division leadership. You know, after our conversation, Eddie, I actually had a conversation with Ed O'Connell, our superintendent. And I said, hey, you know, I wanted to understand what we do to welcome new members better. And it sounds like, you know, we send out an email. It's not an automated one. We type out an email that's custom tailored for everybody. I was like, you know what? I would love to be more involved with this. I would love to maybe have the chance to reach out myself and have like a 5 minute phone call with them if it's something that they're interested in, and get an understanding of what it is that they're interested in doing in the NMRA, and what it is that we can provide to them that maybe they weren't initially expecting, but might enjoy. So yeah, that, you know, like I said, these divisions really do live and die by having quality people in leadership roles and people who are excited for the hobby, for sure. And you know, to the people who are not impressed with their local divisions, I always like to remind them that, you know, these positions are elected positions. And if you've got the free time and you've got the passion for the hobby, there's no reason why you can't run for those positions and make your division better, or make your division what you want to see out of it. So, you know, I understand that that's, you know, not a possibility for some people. You know, I know for you, Eddie, you're a busy guy. You're a dad. You got a great career going in the Air Force. So sometimes that's not, you know, realistic. But, you know, for anybody who does feel the call to leadership in the NMRA, you know, usually these positions, you're running unopposed because, you know,
Yeah.
they're the guys that are in the positions are there because, you know, they want to be, but you know, because, you know, they're needed in those positions too. So it's usually, like I said, the positions of leadership are very attainable if you've got a passion for it, for sure.
Yeah, and the little yeah, I mean it's amazing how much like a bare minimum or just like the little extra effort that it takes to reach out to somebody to shake that hand, if you will, goes a long way. Um, and yeah, I do have to remember that. Like I don't for the rest of you guys, Matt and Dennis, I'm not sure what you guys' regions look like, but I'm sure like if you know go to region X or whatever and or division X and walk in and be like, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to help out. I would like to run for this. And like it sounds like that's kind of what happened with you, Paul. Like Grant, is that incorrect?
Well, you know, I didn't just walk in the door and say I wanted to run. You know, I was perfectly fine, you know, just being a rank and file member.
Yeah.
And then Dave Durr kind of decided that it was his time to step down, and you know, reached out and said, hey, you know, if Ed's going to take over the superintendent role, would you be interested in running for assistant superintendent? And I said, yeah, absolutely. But there's definitely some, organizationally, just busting down the door and running for office probably isn't going to work. But if you spend some time being an active member and then run for these offices, I'm sure that they'll, once they've gotten to know you, be more than willing to have you run, and you just might find yourself in a role where you can make change.
In my experience, if you've been around for a little bit and you are willing to help, they want you to help because they need all the help they can
Absolutely.
get.
Yep.
And as many people as are in the division, they need leaders to guide them and help them. And if you're willing to pitch in and listen to what people want and help them out, then the division leadership is more than happy to accommodate you helping them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's plenty that can be done even without being in an elected position. This whole round robin that I put together, I had it all done and buttoned up and ready to go before I even was sworn in as an officer. This was all stuff that happened within the first year of my membership, where I wasn't in a leadership position at all. I just said, hey, this seems like a good idea. I'm willing to take it on to help facilitate it. And division leadership was like, heck yeah, let's do it. So, you can still influence change without even, officially having, a title too, if that's the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's like after I posted the preview video for that conversation, which kind of focused on that, Gordy was very quick to reach out to me. And we kind of talked back and forth, and then I know at Springfield, Paul, it was a three-way conversation, but basically in person between you, me, and Gordy, talking about like, the one and to be clear, like the NMRA is not the hobby, but it is very nice to have a large group of people, and if you have nothing else to reach to in wherever you are, and there isn't like a club, it isn't an operating club, kind of, well, not in my case because there was, but um, you're looking for that immediate social group. Like, hey, the NMRA is a really good resource to do that. And if you need, like, again, like you said, Paul, like you were looking for people to come work on your layout and operate on it, and it was an easy click, get involved, and all of a sudden, like you have people who are ready, willing, and able to come over and have a good time. And I think that's the one thing that I lament about, because I've never interacted with somebody like with the bigger layouts. I know like there's a couple that I'm again trying as time allows me to see, but yeah, that's such an intrinsic, that intrinsic value that doesn't have a dollar sign attached to it of
Yeah.
getting into this organization
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and
And
staying.
I will add that one of the things that kind of struck me in that conversation we were having with Gordy is the fact that he mentioned that the NMRA is whatever we want it to be moving
Mhm.
forward, and
Mhm.
he was talking specifically about younger modelers.
Yes.
As younger modelers are getting involved with the NMRA, whatever we want it to be is what it can be shaped to be. If we want more ops, we can have more ops. If we want more, online driven education, that can be there for us. We can be a part of making that happen. The NMRA is not the hobby, but is a great facilitator of bringing people together, and a great facilitator of educating people about the hobby as well. So
It's a critical mass.
yeah, it is literally whatever we want it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Anyway, just on that, I think you told me we were talking what the average age prior to you joining was 77, and then when you joined in a couple within a year or two, it got down to 55.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what the figures are. It was already dropping before I joined,
Okay.
based on the joining of a couple of other members. I can't remember specifically what it was. I think it was originally in the 70s at one point, and as we started to grow, it dropped into like the 50s before I joined, And then when I joined, I believe it moved into the low 40s
Oh,
is
wow.
where it ended up. So I'm turning 30 this year, 29 now, and my outlier. Well, I don't even know if I'm really an outlier because there are a
Yeah.
couple of guys younger than me. But in a smaller organization, my 29 was enough to drop the average age quite a bit. But yeah. But we're getting younger in the Lakeshores division, and I'm hoping that having these sorts of conversations, we might start to see other divisions start to do the same.
Yeah.
Because like I said, the NMRA is whatever we want it to be moving forward as younger
Yes.
modelers.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy 29 while you still have it. I'm gonna be 35.
I'm trying.
Cool.
I'm trying.
Yeah. And it's like I just signed up for a half marathon, and I have like 9 weeks to train, and I'm probably doing a little too much. And like I was supposed to try to run 5 miles a day, and I got like 2.5 miles in. Granted, I hurt my leg jumping,
Oh God.
parachuting, and like years ago, and it started to click, and I was just like, yeah, I think I'm gonna stop.
Oh
We're gonna
man.
go stretch this out and let it relax. Which it's a trend item. It's disability. It'll come out in a check hopefully in 10, 12 years. But yeah, like the uh, the NMRA being like it's ultimately going to become a younger organization as unfortunately, but as time passes, as people pass, and that attrition with an older organization kind of occurs. And it would be nice if, like I know we even talked, and I don't that's even after the conversation with you, I was very like before very much like destroy the divisions and tear down regions and stuff to make it a flatter organization. But like I look at like model train people,
No,
and
the value, the true value to me is at the divisional level. It's
oh yeah,
just a question
absolutely.
of it's just
I would agree
a
with
matter
that
of
too.
getting all of the division experiences to be consistent, right? That's
Well, that's the hard part.
Yeah,
yeah, that is
that
the
is
hard
the
part,
hard part.
that I think is where the effort needs to be focused is getting
Yeah.
that experience to be consistent, because
Yeah.
the divisions that do have active memberships, those are a blast to be a part of, and
Oh yeah.
you can throw as much online education at people as you want, but the true value is going to definitely still lie in the local level, and connecting with the people in your own backyard.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that goes back to what Eddie had said earlier about the reason why he joined and why he re-upped was the social aspect. And
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
the division level gives people is the social aspect of the hobby.
Yeah, and if you're looking for the social aspect online, that's where model train people truly
Yeah.
shines. Is
Mm-hmm.
this is you're able to you know at a $0 cost, connect people globally, which is truly amazing. So if the NMRA wants to be able to connect people to it, I think it really needs to be, on a more local level at the division level,
Yeah.
in order to do that.
What's
So,
what's ironic is my interactions with the NMRA have all been through model train people, with people within the NMRA, and like Dennis meeting you, obviously, Paul, Matt, but even in at that local level, after Springfield, and after we were all the house was recovering from dying from COVID, literally
Oh no.
like I think a day or two after that episode dropped, Billy and Danny Brown ended up joining the server, and
Mm-hmm.
Billy like literally lives not 10 miles from where I live, and he's in my division. He was the first, like, I was just like, oh my God, like, you're literally the first person, like, in the year that I've been doing this who I've come across that is in the same division as me. Like, tell me what's
awesome.
going on. Like, um, and that's kind of the intel. Like, it's like the Jumanji, like, what year is it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that you know what, and that just goes to show, kind of circling back towards the round robin thing, you know, you had to wait for that connection to be made in order to understand what's going on at your division. And my hope is by you know, by division leadership being, you know, forthcoming and reaching out, that you know, that's not how that has to happen moving forward for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm blacklisted by now. If I show up, I'm either gonna get like whacked, like private
I think you might be
security's gonna take me
surprised,
out.
Eddie.
They're gonna take me behind the trash cans and beat me and then leave me on my way. Like, yeah, that's what you get.
Nah,
They're
I
not
bet
going
you
to take your lunch money. They're going to take your boxcars.
True. At least my lunch money is safe.
unless you store it in your boxcars.
Well, it's in scale. I can't store anything in them.
True.
You could fold up a $20 bill and fit it in a. Nah,
Could
anyway.
you? All right, that's
In any
that.
case,
That would be a great video to do. Like how much money can I put in my
Gosh.
how valuable can this train be?
never mind the $300 for the locomotive and whatever else you're paying for the rolling stock.
Yeah.
Yeah, that 20 that you put in alongside that ESU decoder is not really going to increase the value that much.
I think it increases it by about $20.
Well, if it's all pennies, right? Like now that pennies aren't being produced, like that, the value should
Hey,
increase.
you got to get them up to weight somehow, right?
Touche. Well, shoot. All right. Well, we're right at an hour. Paul, dude, thank you so much for coming on and doing this. I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to do this, and I know we've been talking about it for a little bit, so nice to finally sit down and pick your brain.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be happy to come back on again too if you want me to at some point.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
There's a lot. I think we still got a lot left to cover here especially with the
for
Fremo
sure.
side of things, and there's some other special projects that I've kind of, well, Dennis and I in particular are very involved with trying to get college model railroad clubs more involved with the NMRA. So, maybe once those projects are a little further along, we'll be able to circle back on them.
Spill the beans.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so thanks so much for coming on, Paul. If for those who are looking to see more of Paul, his YouTube channel is Paul Stamps Finger Lakes Railway. He's got some great videos up on his layout and his Fremo stuff that he's working on, and go give him a check out. He makes some great content there. Check out his Around the Layout episode if you want to learn a little more about what he's doing on a more personal level. And Eddie, anything else?
If you want to check us out, Model Train People on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And if you want to email us, modeltrainpeople@gmail.com. We also have obviously this is a server with a podcast, or we're here to promote the server more than anything, but we just started doing a Railroader series, which Matt's kind of leading the helm on with that. So if you're into train sims, that is the hot fish grease, if you will. That's currently I think today we had 9 or 10 people that were sitting on that.
At the moment, we've got 4 people on our thing. We had a few people on yesterday. We're slowly but surely we're building the Maston Pacific Railway, MTP for short. That's our reporting mark. And we're trying to get more people on and
have some fun.
As we build this up, we're going to be getting more engines, so we're going to need more crews.
Amazing. When the kid's asleep, a little older, I think we'll try to get on there and see that. But y'all follow our link tree, find our Discord link, and we'll be more than happy to have you, because there's a lot of fun stuff that's happening server side. But everybody,
just before we wrap up, I figured we should probably announce, since this will be the first episode coming out after our train-a-thon really has wrapped up, that we're at least the first one we're recording after it's wrapped up. Thanks to everyone who joined us for that, everyone who produced content for it, everyone who joined us, watched, liked, etc. At the end of the day, we are sitting, I think right now, still at $1,025 raised for the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, which is incredible. Thank you all so much for supporting the effort that we made to raise money for a great cause.
Yeah, and if you guys do still come across that link, it does go direct to Chop. I went into because after we were done, I went into GoFundMe trying to figure out how do I get that money like switched over, and it literally said like it just goes direct because we had identified them as the nonprofit that we were working with. And one last thing, well, I guess we'll eventually get here, but I totally forgot. Paul, I asked you, I was like, "Hey, what do you want to cover? Was there anything you want
Oh
to
yeah.
shoot out, like while we're doing this? Shout out rather." And he was like, "Yeah, NERX."
Yes.
So, whew, almost forgot that one. But Paul, what's going on with NERX, man? What is this?
Yeah, so NERX is a virtual convention put on by the Northeast region of the NMRA, and it's going to be in a couple of weeks' time. It's going to be March 17th to the 20th. During the course of those 4 evenings, I believe it's like 6:30 to 10:30, I think is the time slot it'll run.
Yeah.
We'll be
Yep.
live streaming on the NMRA YouTube channel, not the Northeast Region's YouTube channel, the NMRA's YouTube channel. Everything that you'll see there is free of charge. You do not need to be an NMRA member to participate in the live stream, but there will be tons of clinics put on. Dennis has an awesome weathering clinic that he is. I think he's done filming it now
Yep.
and sent it off
It's been
to the powers
sent.
that be. Awesome. Yeah, so you'll be able to check out Dennis's boxcar there that he weathered. And then I also helped by putting together 2 different layout tours, filmed and edited. One for Jim Fairbanks, who's a local member here in the Lakeshores division, who models the New York Central Hojack line. And then one for Bruce Ryan, who models the New York Central High line through Manhattan. And boy, is that layout spectacular. Just finished editing that and sending it off tonight. So those 2 layout tours will be a part of it. And then still waiting to hear if I'm going to be officially or not, but it sounds like I might actually be hosting one of the nights of the whole ordeal. So you'll see my face all evening as the sort of MC, talking with the layout owners and clinicians and facilitating questions. So really excited for that.
Expect to see links to all this stuff in our show notes, y'all. And probably some sort of shout out at the beginning of this, but I'm glad that we were able to get that out.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. It sounds like a good time. And Dennis, at some point, man, like it's like the award-winning weathering, literally like award-winning weathering
Yeah.
skills
Got
of
some
the one and
hardware.
only
He's got
Dennis
some hardware.
Colucci. It's artwork. It's like, oh my God, it's a Colucci. Look at that. Wow. Look at the rust marks. Like
It's the N scale equivalent of a Banksy.
does it shred itself though?
That is the question. Well, it sure looks like it does anyway.
I mean, if it's New York Central lineage, then yes, but I mean, neither here nor there. But all right, guys. Well, it's been great. Penn Central, excuse me, not New York Central. It's been awesome talking with you guys. For all y'all, again, here's the final end of this, and
For real this time.
For reals, stay safe. We are living in crazy times. Just remember, just stay as positive as you can. Take care of each other, and be just good humans to your neighbors. And I think that's all that I'll say about that. But until next time, y'all, have a good one. Okay, let me see how I turn off the button. Where's the button? Button. Who's got the button?
Oh,